A promise or possession. The press conference that shook South Korea. Kim Woo-bin, Shin Min Ah, and the silence that spoke volumes. On a humid Thursday afternoon in Seoul, what was meant to be a routine media gathering turned into a national spectacle. One that sparked debates on love, autonomy, sacrifice, and the invisible boundaries between public image and private reality. The central figures in this story? Beloved actor Kim Woo-bin and his longtime partner, actress Shin Min Ah. A press conference no one saw coming. Just 48 hours before the event, select members of South Korea's media industry received a cryptic invitation. No subject, no reason, just a time, a place, the Conrad Hotel, Seoul, and a name, Kim Woo-bin. For someone who rarely appeared in public without a clear agenda, and who was known for carefully guarded interviews, the ambiguity raised eyebrows. By the time reporters filled the marble-floored conference room, the atmosphere was anything but relaxed. The usual polished PR team was nowhere in sight. And when Kim Woo-bin stepped onto the stage alone, dressed in a sharply cut black suit and wearing an expression of quiet gravity, everyone knew this wasn't about a film premiere. "I know many of you have questions," he began, his voice steady, "and I have something personal but necessary to share." The reveal, joy, and then silence. What came next should have been a joyful announcement. Kim Woo-bin confirmed what fans had only whispered about in online forums. "Yes, Mina and I are expecting a child." There were gasps, camera flashes, a few audible cheers, a new chapter for the couple that had long captured the public's affection. But then came the shocker. "In light of this," he continued, "Mina will no longer be participating in any public activities, including filming, promotions, or brand events, until our child turns 5. For a moment, the room was so quiet you could hear the whir of the camera lenses adjusting. Even the most hardened journalists blinked in disbelief. "Did he just say 5 years?" one murmured. "A decision or a declaration?" The reactions were swift and polarizing. At first, confusion. Then, fury. Prominent feminist voices across the nation denounced the announcement as deeply patriarchal. Many called it a public silencing of Shin Min Ah, an actress who had stood by Kim Woo-bin through his grueling battle with nasopharyngeal cancer, who had temporarily paused her career during his chemotherapy and recovery, and who was now, allegedly, being pushed out of the spotlight at the peak of her own artistic power. Social media exploded. He owes his second chance to her, and now this? 5 years. That's not protection. That's erasure. If she chose this, where is her voice? The backlash wasn't just online. Editorials debated whether this was an act of loving protection or a disturbingly public display of male authority. Brands associated with Shin Min Ah quietly paused campaigns. Fan forums, once brimming with support for the couple, fractured into factions. Where was Shin Min Ah? What amplified the tension was her silence. She didn't attend the press conference. No follow-up post. No Instagram story. No clarification. And then came the leak. An internal email from a luxury beauty brand that had a campaign scheduled with Shin Min Ah in August surfaced online. It read, "Activities are indefinitely postponed due to personal decisions made by Mr. Kim." Not Ms. Shin. Not the couple. Just Mr. Kim. That's when the public outcry reached a boiling point. 3 days of rage and rumors. For 3 days, the country buzzed with speculation. Was this really her choice? Was she being silenced? Was Kim Woo-bin, once hailed for his quiet strength and humility, now guilty of undermining the very woman who helped him survive? Even among fans, emotions ran high. Some called for boycotts. Others begged for patience. And then, on the third night, at exactly 9 p.m., Shin Min Ah finally broke her silence. Her words, her voice. Her Instagram post was as understated as it was powerful, a black-and-white photo of her hand resting over Kim Woo-bin's. No glam. No filter. Just real. But it was the caption that shifted everything. "I've stayed quiet not because I was afraid, but because I needed time to find the right words, not for anyone else, but for myself." She acknowledged the outrage and even the suspicion. "I understand why people feel upset," she wrote. "Words like control and possession have been used. I hear you. I see you. And still, I must be honest." What followed was a heartfelt explanation that turned the conversation on its head. Yes, it was Woo Bin who said the words aloud. But it was me who whispered them first. I told him I wanted to step away. I told him I didn't want to juggle red carpets and scripts while carrying our child. And in the most Kim Woo Bin way possible, he turned that wish into a promise. A love that survived illness, and now scrutiny. Her statement was deeply personal, referencing their shared past with raw clarity. He is the man who stood by me when he had nothing to offer but a trembling hand and a half-hearted smile through chemo. Now he's pouring himself into me, into our child, into our future. And I am grateful. These weren't the words of a woman being silenced. They were the words of a woman who felt seen, heard, and protected. Yet, even as some fans found closure, others remained skeptical. Why had he spoken first? Why at a public press conference? Why frame it as a decision instead of a joint understanding? The questions lingered. Public love, private terms. In a world where every gesture of a public figure is dissected, the boundary between protection and possession becomes dangerously thin. The Kim Shin episode exposed a painful truth. Society struggles to accept when women voluntarily choose family over career, unless it comes from their own lips, in their own time. And that was the lesson of the week. Shin Min Ah chose. But until she said it herself, no one believed it. And maybe that's the heart of it, belief. We believe in images, in assumptions, in control. But we rarely believe in privacy, or in the possibility that love, sometimes, is quiet and complicated and mutually agreed upon behind closed doors. A final retreat. Since her post, the couple has not reappeared in public. No interviews. No events. Not even paparazzi shots. It's as if they've melted into a private reality that doesn't need hashtags or headlines. They were last seen briefly at a countryside market outside of Seoul, shopping for baby items. Witnesses say they smiled softly, wore masks, and walked close, like any expecting parents, not K-drama royalty. No fanfare. No flashbulbs. Just them. Legacy or loss. What happens to Shin Min Ah's career? Will she return after 5 years? Will Kim Woo Bin ever speak again about that infamous conference? Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the better question is, how do we honor choice, even when it doesn't look the way we expected? Because in a world of noise, sometimes love looks like silence. And sometimes, silence is the loudest statement of all.